There's this ancient text that's become a secret weapon for some of the world's most successful people. We're talking about Sun Tzu's The Art of War. And in this quick guide, we're going to break down why its advice, which is like 2,500 years old, is maybe more relevant now than it's ever been.
I mean, it's a fair question, right? Why on earth are top CEOs and championship-winning coaches studying an ancient military guide? What could some general from ancient China possibly teach them? Well, as we're about to find out, the answer is pretty much everything that matters when it comes to strategy.
Okay, so to really get a grip on its power, we have to go way back. I'm talking 5th century BCE, China. This is where a legendary general and strategist named Sun Tzu put his ideas down on paper. And let me tell you, this is a work that has literally outlasted entire empires.
So at its heart, yeah, The Art of War is a military guide. But its real genius, the thing that makes it so special, is that it's all about the psychology and philosophy of conflict. It's way less about fighting and so much more about the art of winning. And that's exactly why it's found this incredible second life in boardrooms, political campaigns, and yeah, even in our own personal lives.
All right, if you only remember one single thing from this whole breakdown, please make it this. Sun Tzu's entire philosophy, it's all built on this one super powerful and honestly kind of counterintuitive idea. This quote right here, it just completely flips the script on how we think about conflict. What he's saying is that the real battle, it's not won on the field, it's won way, way before anyone even steps foot on it.
So the key takeaway here is that real victory, it comes from being so prepared, so strategic, that your opponent is basically defeated before you've even made a move. It's all about creating a situation where winning is the only possible outcome. It's about outthinking, not just outmuscling your opponent. And this is exactly how you win before you fight. Sun Tzu basically says your ultimate weapon isn't a sword or a new piece of tech. It's knowledge. Just deep, honest knowledge about both sides of the game.
And what's so cool is how simple but deep this is. It really comes down to two things. First, you have to know yourself, inside and out. What are your strengths, your weaknesses? What do you actually have to work with? And second, you have to know your opponent, maybe even better than they know themselves. Where are they vulnerable? What's their mindset? But it's not just about knowledge. Sun Tzu talks about a few other key things, like adaptability, being like water, able to just flow around any problem. He's also big on deception, like appearing weak when you're actually strong, to throw your opponent off. And he's got this huge warning: avoid long, drawn-out fights. They just drain everybody. The goal is always quick, decisive action.
So, how is all this incredible wisdom organized? Well, it's not just a random collection of cool quotes. Sun Tzu actually built a complete system, a toolkit for strategic thinking. And that entire system is laid out across just 13 chapters. Think of each one as a short, punchy masterclass in one part of strategy. Put them all together, and you've got a complete guide for handling pretty much any competitive situation.
Yeah, the chapters cover everything you could think of, from the very first step of laying plans all the way to the use of spies. It's a complete A to Z system. It really does create this comprehensive toolkit for navigating any competitive landscape you find yourself in.
All right, and this is where it gets really interesting. This is where this ancient text about war becomes this totally essential tool for life today. You'll see it translates almost perfectly. The reason these principles have lasted so long is because the parallels are just so direct. Just think about it. The battlefield, that's the boardroom today. The enemy army, that's your competition in the market. And the terrain you're fighting on, well, that's just the business landscape you have to navigate every single day. And seriously, the applications are everywhere you look. Business leaders use these ideas for everything from launching a new product to nailing a negotiation. Coaches in sports, they use it for game planning, for psychological tactics. Politicians use it to guide diplomacy. And for us, in our personal lives, the lessons on self-control and just making smart, clear decisions are absolutely priceless.
So why? Why has this one little book survived for over 2,000 years, when countless others have just disappeared? The answer, it turns out, is beautifully simple.
It really boils down to three key things. First, it's short. It's direct, no nonsense, no fluff. Second, its ideas are timeless. It's not about spears and shields, it's about strategy and human nature, and those things just don't change. And finally, it's incredibly practical. You can literally read a chapter in the morning and use what you learned that same afternoon.
So here's the bottom line, the most important thing to remember. Don't get hung up on the title, The Art of War. It's really the art of strategy. It's a manual for how to get what you want with the least amount of friction and the smartest approach possible.
And that leaves us with one last question for you to think about. What's your next battle? Maybe it's a big project at work, a tough conversation you need to have, or a personal goal you're chasing. Where is that battlefield for you? And more importantly, what can you do right now to win it before it even starts?